At 93, Angie Dickinson finally speaks up about Randolph Scott. For over 7 decades, Hollywood legend Angie Dickinson kept silent about one of Tinseltown's most guarded secrets. Now at 93, she's finally revealing the truth about Randolph Scott, the stoic Western star whose private life sparked Hollywood's most persistent rumors. What Angie witnessed as a young starlet on the studio lots would have ended careers and shattered carefully constructed images if revealed back then. But now, as one of the last surviving links to Hollywood's golden age, Dickinson has decided the truth deserves to be told. There comes a point, Dickinson recently said, when history matters more than Hollywood secrets. And what she's finally sharing about Randolph Scott, the man who starred in over 100 films while living a carefully choreographed double life, changes everything we thought we knew about one of cinema's most iconic cowboys. But why did Angie wait until now to break her silence? And what exactly did she see behind the studio gates that was so explosive it had to be buried for nearly a century? The answer reveals not just the truth about Randolph Scott, but exposes the entire system that manufactured Hollywood's golden myths and ruthlessly destroyed anyone who threatened to shatter them. Angie hints at the secret relationship with Cary Grant. To understand the bombshell that Angie Dickinson has finally dropped about Randolph Scott, we need to go back to 1950s Hollywood, a world of glamorous facades hiding countless secrets. Dickinson arrived in Hollywood in 1953, a fresh-faced beauty from North Dakota who quickly caught the attention of studio executives and directors alike. By the time she crossed paths with Randolph Scott, he was already a firmly established Western star with decades of box office success. But Scott's professional reputation wasn't the only thing preceding him on the studio lots. For years, whispers had circulated about his unusually close relationship with Cary Grant. Between 1932 and 1944, the two stars had lived together in what the press delicately referred to as a bachelor arrangement in their Santa Monica Beach house. While the studios publicly dismissed this as a cost-saving measure between friends, behind closed doors, Hollywood insiders knew differently. Back then, you didn't say anything if two men were living together, Dickinson revealed in her recent interview. But everyone knew. This simple statement, delivered with the straightforwardness that has defined Dickinson's career, effectively confirmed what had been Hollywood's open secret for decades. What makes her acknowledgement particularly significant is that unlike many who have speculated about Grant and Scott's relationship, Dickinson was actually there, working on the same studio lots, moving in the same social circles. When I first arrived at the studios, I was immediately pulled aside by an older actress, Dickinson recounted. She pointed out certain stars in the commissary and whispered, "Don't ask questions about their personal lives if you want to stay employed." Randolph Scott was at the top of that list. This code of silence wasn't just about protecting individual actors. It was about preserving an entire system built on manufactured images. Scott, with his tall, rugged physique and stoic demeanor, had been carefully crafted into the ultimate symbol of American masculinity. As the star of countless westerns, he represented the mythical cowboy hero, strong, self-reliant, and unquestionably heterosexual. Any suggestion that contradicted this carefully constructed image threatened not just Scott's career, but the studio's entire business model. The publicity departments worked overtime creating romantic links between certain stars, Dickinson explained. Randolph was frequently photographed with beautiful actresses at premieres and events. It was all carefully orchestrated. Despite these arranged public appearances, rumors about Scott and Grant persisted. The studio's solution was simple but effective. They arranged marriages for both men. Grant would eventually marry 5 times, while Scott married twice, including a marriage to heiress Patricia Stillman that lasted from 1944 until his death in 1987. His marriage to Patricia came right after he and Cary stopped living together. Dickinson noted the timing wasn't a coincidence. Nothing in Hollywood ever was. The fascinating aspect of Dickinson's revelations isn't just the confirmation of long-standing rumors, but her insight into how these arrangements affected the individuals involved. According to Dickinson, the pressure of maintaining these fabricated personas created a palpable tension that radiated from stars like Scott. You could feel it when he entered a room, she said. This guardedness, this distance. He was playing a role even when the cameras weren't rolling. That takes a tremendous toll on a person over time. What makes Dickinson's perspective particularly valuable is that she herself was part of the studio system, yet maintained enough independence to observe its machinations with a critical eye. As a young contract player, she was expected to participate in the same publicity games, being linked romantically with various co-stars to generate press attention. "We were all playing parts assigned to us by the studios," she said. "The difference was that some of us were allowed to stop acting when we left the set. Others, like Randolph, never had that luxury." Dickinson has been careful not to present herself as a close confidant of Scott's. Instead, her revelations come from the unique perspective of someone who witnessed Hollywood's inner workings while remaining somewhat on the periphery, close enough to see the truth, but not so deeply embedded that she couldn't recognize the manipulation at play. Angie didn't confirm the relationship directly, but her silence said enough, and now she's not staying silent anymore. Perhaps most poignantly, Dickinson revealed that years later, after both she and Scott had largely retired from acting, they briefly crossed paths at an industry event. "He looked at me with this expression that seemed to say, 'You know, don't you?' And I gave him a look back that said, 'Yes, and it's okay.' It was the most honest interaction I ever had with him, and we never exchanged a single word." That wordless exchange speaks volumes about the unspoken understanding that existed among Hollywood insiders, a shared knowledge of the gap between public personas and private realities. Beyond confirming long-standing rumors, Dickinson's revelations provide unprecedented insight into how the pressure of maintaining his public image affected Scott's behavior and relationships with colleagues. According to Dickinson, Scott developed a reputation for being exceptionally guarded and distant, traits that many mistook for arrogance or coldness. "He was handsome, but you never felt warmth, just tension," Dickinson recalled. "He never made eye contact in the commissary, just tipped his hat and vanished." This description stands in stark contrast to Scott's on-screen persona, where his reserved nature was presented as quiet strength and dignified restraint. In reality, Dickinson suggests this emotional distance was a defensive mechanism, a way to prevent anyone from getting close enough to discover the truth behind the carefully constructed facade. "Everyone walked on eggshells around him," she explained, "not because he was cruel or temperamental like some stars, but because there was this unspoken understanding that certain topics were absolutely off-limit.